The digital world hid a connection that crossed every line in my marriage. And if my husband ever stumbled upon those messages, it would unravel everything we've shared. I've been whispering this secret to myself for over a year, but today I'm letting it out to you. Keep it close, because he's still scrolling through his own feeds, totally oblivious to the emotional storm I've been navigating right under our roof. We've been together for 9 years, married for 6, in a comfortable rhythm of shared routines, morning coffee rituals, evening walks with our cat weaving between our legs, and lazy Sundays binge-watching shows. My husband is the practical one, fixing things around the house, planning our budgets with that reassuring precision. I work from home as a freelance writer, which gives me flexibility but also long stretches of isolation, staring at screens while he heads out to his construction job. The pandemic shifted everything online, and that's where it began. I joined a creative writing forum to spark ideas, posting snippets of stories and getting feedback from strangers who understood the craft's frustrations. At first, it was all about the words. I'd share a draft and comments would roll in, encouraging, critical, inspiring. Then one user stood out. His feedback was thoughtful, dissecting my plots with insights that made me rethink entire chapters. We'd reply in threads, debating character motivations or plot twists late into the night. It felt professional, like a mentorship. But soon, private messages started, him asking about my inspirations, me venting about writer's block. Have you ever found solace in a stranger's words, where every notification brings a rush you didn't expect? The shift was gradual, like pages turning in a book you can't put down. My husband would be in the next room, watching sports or tinkering with a project, while I'd curl up on the couch, phone in hand, smiling at his clever replies. Our chats evolved from writing tips to personal anecdotes. He'd describe his solitary hikes in the mountains, painting vivid pictures of sunsets that made me long for adventure. I'd share my dreams of traveling, how the daily grind sometimes dulled the spark in our marriage. There was no face to the name, just a profile picture of a foggy landscape. But his words wrapped around me like a warm blanket on a cold evening. The emotional pull grew stronger. I'd check my app first thing in the morning, heart skipping at unread messages. One evening, after a rough day, my husband and I had argued over something trivial, like forgotten groceries. The conversation deepened. He asked if I was okay, and I poured out my frustrations, typing faster than I could think. He responded with empathy, sharing his own past heartaches, making me feel truly heard. That night, as my husband snored beside me, our exchange turned intimate, not physical, but raw vulnerability shared in pixels. We confessed fears and desires, things I'd never voiced aloud. It felt like therapy, but with an undercurrent of something more. The lines blurred when compliments slipped in. "Your mind is captivating," he'd say, and I'd blush in the dark, replying in kind. Before long, our messages carried a flirtatious edge, laced with what-ifs about meeting in person. The guilt crept in slowly at first, dismissed as harmless fantasy. But as weeks became months, it consumed me. I delete chats obsessively, clear my history, but the words lingered in my memory. Close calls sharpened the fear, like when my husband borrowed my phone to look up a recipe, and I snatched it back too quickly, claiming a low battery. He laughed it off, but my pulse thundered. Or the time he noticed me distracted during dinner, phone buzzing under the table. I blamed work emails, but it was another message from him, pulling me away. Our virtual world became an escape, where I'd imagine his voice reading aloud, filling the silences in my real life. The peak came during a virtual writing retreat. The forum hosted a weekend of online workshops. My husband encouraged me to participate, even setting up a quiet space in the spare room. While he mowed the lawn outside, I logged in. And there he was in the chat sidebar, sending private notes amid the group discussions. Our side conversation ignited, sharing instant reactions to prompts, then veering into personal territory again. That afternoon, with the house empty except for me, the exchange intensified admissions of attraction, hypothetical scenarios of what could be if circumstances were different. It wasn't a physical act, but the emotional intimacy felt just as betraying. A bond that stole pieces of my heart meant for my husband. When the session ended, I logged off shaking, realizing how far I'd let it go. In the aftermath, I tried pulling back, ignoring messages, focusing on my marriage with forced date nights and surprise gestures for my husband. But the pull was addictive. A single reply from him would draw me back in. He'd notice my absences, sending concerned notes that tugged at my conscience. Meanwhile, my husband sensed the change exchange, asking why I seemed distant, why our conversations felt superficial. I'd hug him tighter, whispering apologies for being stressed, but the secret created an invisible barrier. Seeing him trustingly hand me his phone for photos, unaware of the digital double life on mine, amplified the shame. I've started therapy sessions online, ironically, to unpack this mess, but even there, I skirt the full truth. A year in, the excitement has morphed into a heavy burden. I love my husband. He's the one who dances ridiculously in the kitchen to make me laugh, who remembers my favorite tea when I'm down. But this online entanglement has eroded our foundation, making me question my loyalty. Was it boredom? The allure of anonymity? Or a deeper dissatisfaction I ignored? Logging into the forum now fills me with dread, yet deleting his contact feels impossible. We haven't met, haven't exchanged real details, but the emotional affair lingers like unread chapters, waiting to be discovered. The fear of exposure keeps me up. What if he finds the app buried in my folders? Or a notification pops up at the wrong moment? Our life looks perfect from the outside. Holidays with family, photos of us smiling on social media. But inside, unfractured, carrying this whisper of a secret that could echo into destruction. Sometimes I draft a confession email to my husband, fingers hovering over send, imagining his confusion turning to pain. Other times, I plan to ghost the connection entirely, rebuild what we've lost. But doubts swirl. Is silence protection or just prolonging the inevitable? Have you ever built a wall with words, only to watch it threaten to crumble? Sharing this confession with you eases the isolation, like turning on a light in a dark room. In the comments, weigh in. Should I reveal this to my husband, confess the whole emotional tangle face to face, or seal it away to nurture what remains of our bond? Your insights might illuminate my next step.